Hello students, welcome to IGCSE Fingertips. I am Aniket.
I am Divyang, and we get asked a lot of times that, sir, how do we score an A plus? How to prepare for our exams? How do we take questions? So we are going to discuss just that. We are going to find out what techniques can be used to score an A plus.
We have divided this video in a series of timeline. So the first timeline will be 12 months to the finals or 24 months to the final. Why 24 months? Because some school also take the syllabus for 2 years. Now, you might have 3 months to the final or you might be left only with 1 month. So skip to the specific timelines which will be in the description, and based on that you can have a clear idea on what to do and how to do. So now we are assuming that we have 1 full year or 2 full years before the final. Right. Now we are hoping that you will be a sincere student and your conceptual clarity will be okay. As in when your teacher is teaching your concepts, you are thorough with the concept. Now, apart from concepts, what more do I need to do? Or what more should I do? See, the first thing which I would suggest is start making notes. Make notes when you are going through the concepts because your understanding is quite fresh at that time. So if you make notes, your notes will be very good. Make formulas, include formulas in those notes, right? Formulas are especially for physics, chem and mathematics. They'll really help you in quick revision. Now, after you are done with notes and formulas, you should practice, right? Follow each topic with topical questions. As in when your topics are completed, you should follow each topic. You should practice each topic. Now, how should I practice? There are various ways of practicing. But the one which we recommend the most is using past papers for topical practice. Right? This is October, this is December 22. We are assuming that you're going to give your exam in 2023. So, the papers of 2020, 21, 22 and 23. Keep this 4 years paper aside for past paper practice. And do topical practice from the year 17, 18 and 19. You are supposed to follow topical practice from 17, 18 and 19. Right. Now, start with 1 year. Let's say you are starting with 2017. Let's say in my school, the topic force has been completed. So, practice all the questions of force from each year, from 17. Then after 17 is done, or after 1 or 2 papers are done, go through the mark scheme, refer the mark scheme, try to see that whether your answers is matching with the mark scheme or not. If it is not, then try to understand what is the mistake behind it. Am I making any conceptual mistake or is it just a silly mistake? If it is a silly mistake, it can be worked on. But if it is a conceptual mistake, then go to your teacher or your tutor, or you can even ask us and get us know that what mistakes are you making so that we can help you out with those mistakes. So the first and foremost thing is making practice of topical questions. You should follow this from the year 2017, 18 and 19. Do this as in when your topics are getting completed for the school. If you feel that your papers of 17, 18, 19 are not sufficient for topical practice, then you can go for 16 and 15 also. Right. So this is the first and foremost thing. Now only solving paper won't help. Please make sure only solving papers for topical practice won't help. You're also supposed to make sure your concepts are clear. Right. So that is it for this part.
Now, assuming you have gone through the topics, your syllabus is over. There are just 3 to 4 months to go. Irrespective of the fact if it's a 2-year syllabus or 1-year syllabus, assuming there are 3 to 4 months before your final, what you should be doing? Your syllabus is over. You should go through all the topics again. And when I say go through all the topics again, not just open your book and look through the topics and say, okay, I'm done with this. No. What you have to do is take your notes, take your formulas and take the topical past papers that you've already gone through. And you have to use that to make flashcards. Flashcards are really important because on the day before your exam, you can go through all those flashcards and they can really help you to crisp make a crisp revision of your topics, right? Now, when you are going through your mistakes, you should be making flashcards of the things that were consistently wrong for you or where you needed help of someone else. Now, after you have gone through all the topics, you should be testing yourself and evaluating yourself. How to test yourself? What should be your target? So for chemistry, physics and biology, your target should be paper 4. You should start with paper 4 and you should be scoring at least 80% in paper 4 before you start any other paper. Why is this? Because paper 4, being a theory paper, checks all your concepts. Even if there is a small mistake, it will come out and not let you go above 80%. Once you are done with this, you should go for paper 2. Just a reminder, 80% is 72 marks. Here, you should go for paper 2 after this. You should be scoring at least 90%. If you do this, only then you should be able to score A plus or A star in all your subjects, right? So 90%, this will be 36 marks. Right now, it seems a little bit difficult. You may think that I'm talking crazy, but this is what you will be able to do if you follow the whole method. After this, just when you are left with 1 month or 1.5 months of your papers, you should be doing paper 6. For what years? So you should start with 2020, work your way to 2022. This is assuming you're giving your papers in 2023 October, November. So these are 3 years. You'll have 7 papers of each year. You have a lot of papers to be done in 3 or 4 months.
Now, for maths, we know that we have 2 papers, paper 2 and paper 4. Paper 2 is of 70 marks and paper 4 is of 130 marks. Now, ideally, the threshold for A star in maths is somewhere between 180 and 185. So we are keeping 185 as our target, right? We are keeping 185 as our target. So for 185, our ideal target in paper 2 should be at least above 65 marks, right? So if you subtract 185 from 65, you'll be left with 120 marks. So you should score 120 or above in paper 4. Now, the more you score in paper 2, right? The more you score in paper 2, the more cushion will be left in paper 4. So if you come across a difficult question in paper 4, you can afford to lose those marks if you have scored more in paper 2, right? Because paper 2 is relatively very easier compared to paper 4. It's relatively very easier. So try to score as much as you can. Try to go for 68 or 70 marks in paper 2 so that you can have more cushion for paper 4. Right. Now, how to go through this grind? Now, this is a grind. Now, how to go through that grind? So the grind is start practicing past papers. Now, for the past papers, as discussed, you should start from 2020 and work your way till 2022. Right? Work your way till 2022. Now, first start with 2020. Make sure after each paper, you check those papers. It would be much better if you could get it checked with your teacher or your tutor or your friend. Because if you'll check your paper, there are very high chances that you'll be lenient to yourself and you'll tend to give yourself more marks than required. So kindly make your elder sibling or younger sibling to check those papers because paper checking is relatively easier. So after each paper, identify your mistakes. And if those mistakes are conceptual mistakes, then refer to the flashcards or your notes. If you need to make more flashcards even after identifying those mistakes, if let's say a mistake is a concept, let's say you're facing mistakes in trigo again and again, you are not able to remember the cos rule or sine rule, then make a flashcard of cos rule or sine rule and before every paper go to that flashcard, right? So make more flashcards if required after this, because only solving past papers won't help. You will have to identify your mistakes and make sure that you work on those mistakes. Now let's say I'm making the same mistake again and again and again. Let's say I'm making the same mistakes. Let's say I'm making the same mistakes in trigonometry. I've done the same mistakes once, twice and also thrice. So now what to do? Now go to the topical papers which you have already practiced. Open the booklet of Trigo, go through those questions, redo those questions again because you have already solved those questions earlier. So now you'll have a clear understanding. Even if you go through the questions, you'll have a better understanding. Now after that is completed, then you can again start with 21 and then you can go for 22, right? So this is how you can work your way from 2020 to 2022. Now if you have more time, then you can practice your questions from 2019 also. Again you can go from 2019, or if you have already practiced your papers from, and as you have already covered 16, 17, 18 your topical years, you can practice from 2014 or 2015 also, right?
Now you're left with just 30 days to your final exam. You've practiced, you've made the grind. Now what is the differentiating factor that will make you score an A plus? Here what happens is, you've seen us give you a target of 185 marks, give you a target of 90%. Why is that? Because we are not just trying to score barely an A plus, we are trying to score A plus, and you should be at your peak for this, right? You might have seen that sometimes the threshold for paper 4 of science is barely 45, 52, right? And in mathematics it could be 170, sometimes even 160. But we are not trying to score A plus in that particular series. We are trying to score an A plus considering everyone does best. So you should be doing your best, and by doing your best you must be able to score at least this much. How to do that? We have already explained, but there are still some things that not everyone can do, and this can be the differentiating factor. And that the first thing is, stick to your schedule. So what do we mean by that? The first thing you should do is write the papers in the series your school is writing. You're left with 30 days and you're left with 2023 series. By 2023, understand it that if you're giving October-November 2023 exam, you should be doing FM and MJ here. Let's say you were giving MJ 2023, then FM 2023 you should be doing at last, and MJ 2022 you should be doing at last. Let's say you are giving FM 2023, then the whole of 2022 you should be doing at last. Okay, this should be your pattern. Now let us understand what else can you do to stick to the schedule. So you should give your papers in the time the school is going to take those papers. If let's say paper 6 is in AM and then mathematics paper 2 is in PM, so you should be giving your papers in that time. Not necessary that you always give maths at PM time, right? Just remember that if your school has two time slots, 10:30 and 2 PM, so you should be trying to give paper during this time, so your brain can be alert every day during this time. You're training your brain to be most alert during this time. Time your papers. Paper is of 1 hour 15 minutes. Do not get up before 1 hour 15 minutes. Do not give yourself time more than 1 hour 15 minutes. So 1 hour 15 minutes should be your time. If the paper is over earlier, look for silly mistakes. Look at the paper as if you are checking the paper. It's your friend's paper and you are trying to give them as less marks as possible. So you should be timing your paper like that. If it takes more time, find out what took more time. What was the question you were stuck at that took so much time for you that you are not left with enough time to complete the whole paper. Not making the same mistakes again. Now how to do that? If you knew your mistakes, you would not make them again and again, correct? So what you have to do, you have to look through your papers. When you're evaluating yourself, you should be in a habit to write down, okay, I made a mistakes in area and volume. I made a mistake in trigonometry. I made a mistake in moles. I made a mistake in forces. I made a mistake in reproduction. I made a mistake in demand supply, something like that. You should always be making a note of what you're making mistake of and then try to rectify it by reading the paper, by going through past papers, or by asking your teacher, asking your friend. If none of that works, if you think that you know the topic, you are still not able to solve it, what you should be doing is take an inanimate object, try to explain your paper to that. This method has worked for a lot of students. It has worked for me, that if you know the topic, you feel you know the topic, but you're not able to answer all the questions, let's say take a small pen stand, try to explain your topic to that. If you could explain it successfully to your satisfaction, it means you know the topic. Try it again and again until unless you reach a level where you are happy with the understanding of the topic.
So now you have 7 days to the final. For those of you who have skipped directly to the 7 days to the final, now guys, there's nothing you can do in this 7 days. There's not absolutely nothing that you can do that will change your grades from 50% to A star. You have to, if you had followed the practice which we had given, then and then you can score A star or good grades. Otherwise, in this last 7 days, you can hardly increase your percentage by 5 to 10%. So all the best and kudos for those who have directly skipped to the 7 days to the final. Now for those who have sincerely followed our practice, now guys, don't do excessive practice in this 7 days. Don't take stress. Also, don't give up everything, right? Like, don't be lenient with yourself, and also don't take much stress. Now, avoid writing papers in this 7 days. Now, what are you supposed to do? In this 7 days, you have written so many years of paper. So, kindly go through those papers, refer your mistakes. If you are feeling that I'm having problem in, let's say, moles, or I generally make mistakes in differentiation, then go through those questions of differentiation or of moles, or let's say of reproduction, and then read those topics, refer your flashcards, and that's it. Take your me time, avoid taking excessive practice, adjust your sleep cycle, make sure that you sleep for at least 6 to 8 hours before your exams, right? Let's say your exam is at 10:30, so make sure you have a proper sleep cycle, so your brain will be 100% awake during your exam time. That is all you need to do. In last 7 days, nothing will change. If you have followed it, you will be thorough. Now guys, comes the D-day of your exam.
Now you already practiced whatever you can. You've gone through all the things you can. Now the only thing remaining is giving exams. What happens is a lot of times kids lose 10 to 15% marks in just taking stress of the exam. We suggest you perform meditation, practice meditation before your exam, take blessings of your elders, and write exam to your full possible extent. All the best for your exam, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. Bye bye.